What if your life experiences were opportunities? Opportunities to reconnect with yourself, with other people, and perhaps even with your environment. Think about those connections during this talk. Think about those times you were a child and you had an experience, a moment, perhaps laughter, love, friendship, a moment in nature. What about your life as an adult? Think about those moments and the experiences that you have. Are those moments possibilities to reconnect, to have a better understanding of yourself, maybe your purpose in life, what you want to be doing? And they don't need to be big, they can be small, they don't need to be grandiose. But keep those memories in your mind as opportunities. And during this presentation, when you think about breathing, take 2 breaths. When I was 9 years old, I went to the Amazon with my family. For 18 months, they were navigating the waters of an area that was still yet unknown, being discovered. And I had small responsibilities. Driving the Zodiac was perhaps one of them, at least for the photograph. But I was working with the scientists, and we were catching piranha at 9 years old, putting them in the canoe, and I remember that moment the piranha was flipping about, and I pulled my feet up, thinking it was going to nibble at my toes. And then I was given a responsibility, a small pygmy marmoset. One of the crew members had rescued it from a market, its harness cutting it to its skin. He brought it onto the boat, and he said, "Céline, this is your responsibility. You must care for it and feed it." And so we made a new harness, and I attached it to my shirt, and during the day, it sat on my shoulder. It hid behind my hair like a veil of protection, and I would feed it. And in that moment, I created a connection with a creature that I knew nothing about before. But that connection was something that stayed with me to this day. And I remember it fondly, and I cherish these memories, and I cherish those photographs because they stay with me, and they have become a part of me. And in this, I am also connected to other humans around the planet that perhaps have a pet of one sort and of another. But we all have these experiences. Maybe it's a cat, a dog, a fish, a frog. And in these places, perhaps it's a little bit different, but really it isn't. And that relationship we have with nature and animals and other human beings, keep coming back. Think back to your own childhood, your own experiences. Remember those connections. Now, going along the shores of the Amazon when you're 9 years old, the forest is immense. It was immense then, it is immense now. And we were navigating the waters, and Calypso was sailing along the Amazon River, and there was a man standing on the shoreline with bananas. And so we stopped the boat, we got into the Zodiac, a little inflatable boat, and we went to shore. And we followed this man into the jungle to his home. And I remember walking across a log precariously, not wanting to fall into the void. And this man walked across like it was absolutely nothing. And walking into the forest and smelling the humidity and the earth, those nutrients filling the air, and looking up and seeing the trees massive and grandiose and the light coming through the leaves. And we followed him to where he had his bananas. And he said, "Please choose. Please choose bananas from a tree in the Amazon." And so he said, "These," and he cut the tree down. And my child said, "Why is he cutting a tree?" And my adult now knows. A banana tree grows for 9 months. You take its harvest and its fruit, it then dies, and the saplings that come from beneath from its roots grow strong because the other one fell over. I created a connection with nature that wasn't there before, and an understanding of where my food comes from. And then we walked to his home, and his wife was cooking something on the fire. And she said, "Please have some." And we said, "No, we cannot take, you have so little." But she was proud to share what she had with us, and so we did. And I remember that moment where I tasted the food, the smoky taste from the fire, the texture. And I remember looking over to the children that were playing with a stick and dirt. And I remember feeling shy because I wanted to go play. They were having so much fun, and feeling envy because they looked so happy with something so simple. And back in my room at home, I had all these toys, Was it enough? Was I satisfied? No, I wanted another one, and the Barbie doll, and the stuffed animal, and the Lego. And this is the society that we have created and we grow into, but it is not the society we come from. It is not the culture that we are. All of those connections have come back to me as an adult, and I am not saying that this life is ideal. They live a very difficult life of existence and survival. But there is something simple that we need to come back to full circle. Now, my adult mind says, I have a connection to the Amazon, let me find out more. The Amazon is the largest rainforest on the planet. It spans 9 countries in South America. Massive. And I love maps, and I start to think forest, deforestation, climate change, carbon sequestration. The trees standing hold carbon, the trees cut, release carbon into the air. That's not good for us. And then my mind starts swirling with stress and anxiety and thinking, what are we doing to this planet? And of course, I look at another map because I want to see where the deforestation is happening and why. And if you look at your products, if you look at the ingredients on the food that you eat, you start to realize some of those products and ingredients come from a place that is being deforested in a country you don't live in, but you are connected to it because one of your resources comes from there. And this map shows the deforestation due to one of those resources, and you realize there are people there. And we depend on this forest, and we are connected to it. And therefore, we are connected to the people that are there. This is a phenomenal map. As you'll see, I love maps. This is a phenomenal map from the Instituto Socioambiental in Brazil. They're working to protect indigenous rights. What you see in orange are the indigenous territories. What you see in yellow is complete deforestation, and in purple, encroaching deforestation. Pay attention, there is no deforestation on indigenous land. Why? Because they live in complete balance and harmony with their environment. Why? Because they live close to it and depend upon it for the food that they eat. Indigenous people and traditional communities make up 4% of the global population, yet they protect 80% of our biodiversity. Biodiversity on which we depend for our potential future pharmaceuticals. We are connected to these people. And the statistics that we can read, you can all look them up, you can read them on the screen, or you can just know this, that we are intrinsically connected through everything. Now remember to take 2 breaths. The carbon that goes in the air also comes from our oceans. Our oceans are carbon sequestrators. I would be denying my family heritage if I didn't talk a little bit about our oceans. And I wouldn't want to do that, because my family is my first tribe. It is my inner circle. It is my upbringing and my nature and my nurture. My second circle, the tribe of people that I work with, that I depend on, my community, my friends. The ocean is responsible for the second breath, because microscopic creatures called phytoplankton create the air and the oxygen that we breathe. 2 breaths, one from the forest, one from the ocean. And this is a lot of information, so every now and then you have to reconnect to play and to fun. Take a moment, exhale, remember your childhood. And this is what it can look like. If you allow yourself to tap into this moment, this is what it can still look like as an adult. You don't have to let that go. Now, in 2007, I went to a place called the Vale do Javari in the Brazilian Amazon, going back to places my grandfather had been to in the early 1980s when I was 9 years old. And in that time, I met some incredible people, the tribes of the Javari. They asked me to tell their story, and I said yes. Tribes on the Edge is the story of the people of the Javari, a territory 85,000 square kilometers. That's the size of Austria or Portugal. That's a lot of trees. My adult mind says carbon sequestration. My child says, I wonder if I can eat that food again. By the way, the next time I ate that food as an adult, all of those memories came back. It doesn't even matter what that food is. You all have lived it. Your senses, your smell, your sight, your love, your emotions, they all bring back those memories and reconnect you. The people of the Javari are facing potential disaster. Although their land is designated as ancestral territory, the laws that protect them are infallible. The government wants to drill because there's oil that gets exported where? To all of us. we are connected. They are facing high rates of hepatitis, not endemic to the region, and they need help. This is a short excerpt that you will hear the interview that I did with Sidney Passuelo, a phenomenal human being who for decades in Brazil has been defending indigenous land rights. And I think he summarizes this story perfectly.
A principal ameaça no curto e médio prazo no Vale do Javari, que é a intensificação da agenda de petróleo e gás na região.
Essas terras indígenas se destinam, o povo que vive ali possa continuar a sua vida tradicional, porque eles nunca destruíram o meio ambiente. Os homens hoje raciocinam com o bolso. É com o dinheiro que eles raciocinam. Não há mais sentimento de amor à terra, de preservação, do cuidado que nós temos que ter com o outro, exterminar o meio ambiente. É lamentável que a gente veio viver e estamos vivendo uma época dessa, né? É muito ruim. Mas, enfim, temos que combater isso e não desanimar.
And that is at the heart of all of this, to not lose heart, to not lose hope, because we have that capacity to reconnect. And because knowledge is power, power is responsibility. So what you do with that is your power. It is the hope, and it is what can bring you to the next point. How will you choose to reconnect? I look at these children and I think of the future. I have a 5-year-old. And I think about what his future is about, and I think about these children the same way. Am I going to do everything I can to reconnect us to each other and to ourselves, to our understanding of what it means to be part of a global human tribe? These children live in complete harmony with their environment because there is no other way. I did an interview with a man named Bina Tuku Matis from the Matis tribe in the Javari. And I asked Bina with my little notebook in hand, so Bina, how do you live sustainably with your environment? And he looks at me, not understanding my questions, and I think, okay, my portuñol is terrible. Let me try to define sustainability in a very simple way. How do you live in balance with your environment? And he still looked at me like I was not asking the right question. And his answer was almost a question in itself. He says, well, when I cut a tree for the canoe I am going to make, I plant one so that my grandchild, or perhaps my great-grandchild, will have a great tree to make a canoe. Sustainability. We have come back full circle to this notion of what it means to live in equilibrium with our environment. We define it differently with our new reality, sustainable development. But it is no different than that original thought, that original understanding. We have created an industry that has brought us back full circle to what we always knew instinctually, and that is to live in balance. It's just now we have buildings and air conditioning, we have cars, we have technology. Do not deny all of that as part of our lives, but integrate it into something deeper, because it should be used as a tool and not as something that is just the end. The portraits you will see here, these are important. Each person is a human life, and that each one of them represents something. This idea of adaptation and resilience is something else that we all have in common. In our world, we are perhaps adapting in a different way. What the tribes of the Javari and everywhere around the Amazon are seeing is that the seasons are changing in different ways. They don't know necessarily when to plant anymore because the rains come differently. When you have to plant and harvest for your livelihood, when you have to hunt for the food that you eat, and if you don't build your home, you don't have shelter, you are very much connected with everything that happens. How can we do that in this society if we are not completely rooted in that idea of survival? We are all looking for a sense of belonging. Who are we? Who are our people? Who is our tribe? Define that for yourself, in whatever way that means. You came to a talk. Why? Why are you here? What are you seeking? What will you do with it? You go home to your families, your tribe, your friends, your tribe. perhaps your colleagues, your community, your beliefs. That all defines who you are, and maybe you're looking on social media for the people that belong in your tribe, but it's still that same feeling. Where are they? What can you do for them? And if you have the privilege of having food and water and shelter and love, then you have an opportunity to give and to connect. And that is such a tremendous gift to be able to take with you. To be able to think beyond survival, beyond mere adaptation and resilience, because resilience is something else we have in common. What will happen if we do not adapt? If we are not resilient psychologically, emotionally, physically? How do we move forward? And then comes the difficult part. What happens when you are met with adversity? When there are really difficult moments, when everything you believe in and have been fighting for is threatened? Will you stand tall in the face of adversity? Will your conviction double to be able to do what you need to do to move forward? Because that is a test of our resilience. That is a test of our ability. And those are wonderful moments. Working in the Amazon with the indigenous tribes is never easy. People are complicated, no matter where you go. And the conditions are difficult. But I value and cherish the moments where my conviction is tested that this project called Tribes on the Edge will make a difference in these people's lives. That a film and an impact campaign can change the course of their survival. Beto Marubo from the Marubo tribe said to me, "Céline, this problem did not happen overnight. You will not fix it overnight. Exhale." And so I remember, because that connects me back to what is happening there as well. And I need that. I need that reconnection, as much as all of us. The Samauma tree, or ceiba, also called kapok, stands tall in the Amazon, reaching up above the jungle canopy. But it is fragile, just like the tribes. If we are short-sighted, we harvest this tree to make homes, but the wood rots quickly. If we have the foresight to think further ahead, we protect the tree that creates and harbors life. It gives fruit and shelter, and much like the tribes, needs our support. Adauto Kulina from the Kulina tribe taught me hope. When all I was hearing were challenges and difficulties and adversity, I needed a moment of levity. I needed to go back to my childhood self. And what he did is he provided hope. He said, when you are facing difficulties, look to your people. And his hope is uniting his people together and having pride in cultural heritage for their future survival. And that is something that I truly believe will bring us all forward. The disconnect does not exist, we have created it. And I encourage all of you to reconnect with those memories that have created who you are, your people, your inner circle, your outer circle, your tribe. Go out and get dirty. Encourage your children to go out and get into the environment. By all means, have fun, enjoy life, because that energy is contagious. Love and positiveness and optimism is contagious, and it is necessary. And please do not forget, 2 breaths, one for the forest and one for the ocean. Thank you.